Developers from Korea and China are shooting more and more role-playing games into the market. Better graphics, more game content, and larger maps. A probably never-ending competition between the MMORPG giants Guild Wars 2, Black Desert, and many other giants of the gaming industry. Older MMORPGs with less good graphics seem to get lost in the mass of high-end role-playing games. The exception is probably the well-known World of Warcraft. But if you take a closer look, you'll notice even more diamonds on the scene. Because in a role-playing game, it's not always just about graphics. Another representative of this genre is 4Story. In Europe, the online role-playing game was released by Gameforge in mid-2007. Despite poorer graphics, the game still has a lot of potential. If you're interested in the game during the course of the review, you'll find a registration link in the video description. Welcome to the review of 4Story. As disciples of the Earth God and Dendros, they possess the unique ability to open portals to other dimensions in order to summon powerful beings to assist them in battle or even heal them. Thanks to these beings, the Evocators are dangerous opponents. They also use crystals and debuff spells to support their party and inhibit the enemy. They are agile ranged fighters who are masterful with bow and arrow. Thanks to their steady hand, they keep a cool head even in dicey situations. But they are also not to be underestimated in close combat, as they can skillfully dodge enemy attacks. They are extremely skilled and flexible fighters. In their feared attacks, they strike down enemies with powerful melee attacks. They can take heavy hits without any problems, and thanks to a perfect defense technique, they can survive even fierce attacks from their opponents. Defensive warriors can bind enemies to themselves and absorb physical damage with the help of their plate armor and shields. Offensive warriors, on the other hand, deal great damage with their two-handed weapons. The Thunder God Pauldron once taught them to rise above the limits of the tangible and transform the mysterious mana into powerful spells. Mages cast explosive attack spells, devastating area damage, or magic that causes wounds over a long period of time. Their weak armor and low stamina make them very vulnerable to attacks, so they must be played cautiously. They develop their abilities optimally in a group and against other players, especially if they have other mages at their side. Long ago, Recamise gave priests the gift of protecting and healing allies. In times of need, they are often the last hope for fighters. Priests also master destructive spells with which they can defend themselves against their enemy and inflict great damage on them. Because of their abilities, they are guardian angels and messengers of death at the same time. As priests of darkness, they blind their opponents or transform them into harmless squirrels to reduce the number of attackers. Through sacrifice and foresight, they strengthen and heal their companions or revive them should they die. They always act coolly, calculatingly, and with lightning speed. In this way, they are in no way inferior to their patron, Pentatron, the god of darkness. They can venture deep into enemy territory, attack their victims unnoticed, and then retreat into the shadows. However, if they are detected, their abilities are hardly effective. The same is true if they are too far away from the enemy. To best prepare for the evening PvP experience, or to increase the effectiveness of leveling, you can equip each class with the right jewelry. In 4Story, there are different types of jewelry that contain different attributes. Strength. Best suited for Nightwalkers and Warriors, as strength increases physical damage. Agility. Gives ranged damage and dodge chance against attacks, which is of course most useful for archers. Endurance and Wisdom. Priests are the protectors of the other classes in 4Story, so they need a lot of health points and their regeneration, endurance, as well as magic hit chance and dodging magic attacks, wisdom, to be able to participate in the battle as long as possible. Intelligence. Unlike priests, mages and evocators rely on magic damage to mercilessly destroy their enemies. These classes therefore require a high level of intelligence. Once you've customized and created your character, your training will begin at the first guard post in Tebeket. Tebeket belongs to the lands of Gore. To digress briefly and elaborate a bit, the countries of Darien and Valorian have been waging a relentless war against each other for many years and give absolutely nothing to each other in battle. The mercenaries of Gore can choose one side of the two countries each week to support them in battle. Now, back to the topic. We're still at the very beginning and should take care of the start to become successful as quickly as possible. The initial quests introduce you playfully to leveling and questing and are good for gaining initial experience. If you've reached level 9 through these quests, things will get serious. Now, the question is which country you will join. Choose wisely and decide freely according to your heart. Darien, a land full of nature and energy, shines with its capital Market on the eastern side of the map. Darien is home to many successful fighters and continuously helps you improve on your path. Keter, the capital of Valorian, on the other hand, is a fortress of walls and towers that is difficult to take. In Valorian play the real heroes, or those who want to become one. Once you've chosen your country, the path to becoming a hero begins. Let's move on to the war between Darien and Valorian with the participation of Gore. Because just like in other role-playing games, 4Story is of course about war, battle, and honor of your nation. From Monday to Saturday, there's a so-called area conquest on all servers towards evening. The exact time varies from server to server. During this time, the guilds of both kingdoms fight in fierce battles for territories, which are distributed over all maps in 4Story. In addition, there is the so-called Sky War on Saturday. There, Darien and Valorian fight for victory on a large map in which they have to attack and kill the king of the opposing faction. This map especially looks very impressive. On Sunday, the so-called Castle Conquest will take place, in which the two kingdoms will not have to fight for territories, but this time for entire castles. The different guilds of both kingdoms can earn points depending on how many territories they've conquered, which are decisive for whether they can fight for the respective castle at the end of the week. In the conquest of territories and castles, it is above all the group play of the various classes and guilds that counts. But what makes 4Story different from other games? Clearly the system of area and castle conquests. Hardly any other role-playing game offers such a PvP system, where whole guilds of a kingdom have to act together to beat the opposing faction. Better with each other than against each other. Make friends and alliances with different guilds and fight side by side for lands and large castles. But hey, stop time. Castle? Wars? Now, but slowly. Let's start first of all to improve our equipment. In 4Story, there is a so-called level system for the armor and weapons you wear. Currently, there are 28 levels where, for example, the 20th level is logically better than the 10th. The higher the level, the more damage you can deal but also take. In the game, there are 3 basic items for this: Serendipity Potion, Survival Tincture, and the Master's Formula. The Survival Tincture ensures that your equipment will not be destroyed if your improvement fails. With the Serendipity Potion, you get a higher chance that your equipment will jump 1 level higher. With the Master's Formula, you then perform the actual improvement. The up system can be quite confusing, so feel free to seek help from other players. In order to earn the necessary small change, you have to invest some time in 4Story. The first thing to do is to use the mentor system. Especially if you're new to the game, this will make things easier for you. Find a trustworthy mentor who will both explain the game to you and be willing to enter into a mentoring alliance with you. In a nutshell, your mentor levels up with you in order to receive a certain number of experience points in return for progress, the mentor percentage. However, your mentor can only help you collect experience points up to level 60. After that, you're on your own when leveling. This means you should start leveling together as early as possible to reach 100% before level 60 and get the largest number of rewards. If you reach level 90 over time, there will be more rewards for you and the mentor. Earlier we mentioned that your mentor should be trustworthy, but why? You should be able to trust the mentor because he will receive the rewards by letter and should divide them fairly with you. You should not go empty-handed. Besides the mentor system, there are of course other ways to get gold. For example, trading with items. In the beginning, you should keep your hands off the items to avoid making a loss, because you should know the prices and the value of the items. In addition, you can earn gold by leveling, but this can become relatively boring over time. A much more exciting way to earn gold is Marduk's Nest. Marduk is a bloodthirsty dragon, which looks very scary with its size. So now go through the maze of flames and dangerous monsters to get to him and kill him. Of course, you'll also receive rewards for killing Marduk. Of course, 4Story also has an in-game store where you can buy items for real money. It's best to ask other players if they can help you with choosing the right items. When leveling up or during the battle against the dragon Marduk, it can happen that you receive a so-called companion rune. You can then activate them by double-clicking on them. But what are these little creatures good for? Quite simply explained, the companion system refers to the attribute system already presented. So when you level up and receive experience points for your level, your companion also receives experience points up to the next level up. For each additional level, your companion receives status points, which you can redeem for attributes. We remember, if you're a mage for example, you would spend your status points on what? Exactly, on intelligence. One last time we get into the PvP action. 4Story offers a so-called integrated battleground, so you can team up with your fellow players or friends to join the battleground together. After starting the game, you will find yourself on a map with 3 so-called titans. During the game, you have to push at least 2 of them into the base of your opponents to win the game for you and your group. It's best to find someone to take you along on your first attempt and explain everything to you in more detail. In addition to Battleground, there's also Battle of the Worlds. You can join the PvP modes together with your guild or on your own. Here you are on a special map, which is divided into 2 factions, Darien and Valorian, depending on which faction you're in. Each faction has a statue, which is guarded by a dragon. When the game starts, your goal is to destroy the enemy statue to secure valuable points. In doing so, you'll not only encounter the dragon, but of course the other faction who wants to protect their statue. Otherwise, in 4Story, there is a united mission zone, where the 2 kingdoms have to compete against each other several times a day. Here, too, exciting and tactical battles can arise. While in Area Conquest, Skywar, Unified Mission Zone, and Castle Conquest, you play exclusively against players from the same server. Battleground and Battle of Worlds are international. There you can also compete against players from other countries. As mentioned at the beginning, there are currently many games whose graphics are on a high level. We think that 4Story can still stand up to them all and has a lot of potential. So the player is always busy with something and can face new challenges. Especially the PvP system offers pleasant changes to other MMORPGs. However, you should bring time and desire to face the challenges. You have to work hard for your equipment and weapons. Now, it's up to you to write your own story and help determine the fate of Iberia. If you want to play 4Story, you'll find a registration link in the description.